Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more interesting stories like these. Now, let's get into today's story video. AITA for refusing to cook for my stepchildren anymore. They are 16 female and 15 male. I've been married to my hubby for 8 years. Because we received the illness, they've been living with their mother for a month. Fortunately, they were with their mother at the time and did not get it. We usually share custody. They have been harshly critical of my cuisine since they went home. My spouse and I normally divide the household tasks. He prepares supper, while I prepare breakfast and lunch. This works well for us since my shift begins later in the morning and his shift finishes earlier in the evening. I try to feed them good foods and spend time with them, but they are always critical. They make faces, mock the meals I made, and compare them to their mother's cuisine in a nasty way. They've been spoken to and even reprimanded by their father. They just do not seem to care. My hubby seemed to believe my cuisine is excellent. When he heated it up last week, they didn't appear to like my cooking. I had to quit cooking for them. They are capable of preparing meals. I had trained both of them how to manage themselves in the kitchen the previous year, and they had no problems before this. I'm concerned that they're reacting negatively to anything I did. Teenagers are not known for their emotional maturity, and I am concerned that this will further isolate them. But my mental health has improved, and I no longer dread mornings. I still prepare them lunch, but because of my schedule, I don't have to listen to them complain about my food. My spouse expects me to be the adult in this situation, and he pledges to deal with them. He believes that once he resumes cooking, they will settle down. It bothers me that my additional children are giving me the cold shoulder, but I want to educate them that they must respect the people in their life, even if they detest them. They discussed it with their mother, who yelled at me and called me names. My spouse is now preparing breakfast for them. They don't seem to mind the shift. I've made my peace with the fact that they didn't consider me family. I never anticipated them to send me a Mother's Day card or to call me Mom. That would be fantastic, but I'm afraid it's not going to happen. That is okay with me. However, all I ask is that they treat me with dignity. Understand that I am an adult in their life who loves and cares for them. They regard me like a who also pays for things. Update. I wrote my post around 2 weeks ago, and a lot has transpired since then. I understood I wasn't a jerk for not cooking for them. I continued to not prepare for them, and they ignored me. It was painful, but I was becoming used to it. I spoke with my husband enforcing regulations and speaking with their mother to guarantee that we can resolve this problem, but he is hesitant to begin drama because he is frightened of going back to court and having to renegotiate the custody arrangement. All of this, though, took a back place. My father was given a dire prognosis. It's rather awful. It put me in a poor position, and I was just getting by for a week on autopilot. My stepdaughter came in and saw me weeping in my room. I believe she was seeking for her father. She came down beside me and apologized. She sobbed a bit and told me she is afraid I would compel Dad to relocate kids permanently to their moms. That made me weep even more. I told her that even though we didn't always get along, I missed them while they were at their mother's place, and that the house would seem empty without them. Things are much better now that we've had this chat. I won't claim we're always doing well, but we're doing considerably better than we were. Those who predicted that their mother forced them to do it were accurate. After some further discussion with my stepchildren, I recognized that anything we'd done had really harmed them. My stepdaughter claimed that we didn't call them when we were sick with the virus, but we did. We were disappointed that they didn't answer the phone, but we chalked it up to their mother's strict screen time policy, in which the phones are under her care and not with them, and them being busy with classes. We had no choice except to text them. My theory is that their mother knew the passcodes and was erasing our missed calls when she had the phone, then utilizing our lack of calls to put a wedge between us. I haven't informed anybody about my notion, but it seems to be a good one. I've let this one slip for the time, being since I'm more concerned with assisting my father with his therapy. I'd want to thank everyone who left a remark. I realize this isn't a cheerful report, but I wanted to make sure everyone was aware of what had occurred. Story 2. AITA for not giving my room to my foster sister, even if it'd make life easier for my mother. Hello, Reddit. I, 17 years old, have lived in the same home since I was 2 years old, when my paternal grandparents left it to my family. And I've always had the same room. I never got to select my room when we moved here since I was so little, but I believe I got the greatest one. It's directly next to the garden, near enough to the restroom so I don't disturb anybody, and big enough for my bed and a desk. My mother, on the other hand, wants me to go in order to make way for my foster sister D, 9 female. To be clear, D does have a room. My biological sisters, A, 25 female and B, 22 female, have both moved out, and although A's room has been converted into a new office space since we work from home, D has been assigned B's former room. It's a bit smaller than mine, but there's still plenty of space for her to store her possessions, and my mother has agreed to let her paint it any color she likes. However, it is not without flaws. D has lately complained about how chilly the room is at night and how difficult it is for her to sleep. My mother has given her extra blankets, but they don't appear to be of much use, so my mom has chosen to relocate D to my side of the house, and as a result, me into D's room. B's I, on the other hand, do not want to relocate. D is only here for a short while, so it will be a pain to transfer my belongings out of and back into my room after she departs. With addition, my mother and her social worker let D to write on the walls with crayon, and I don't want my bedroom covered in scribble on kittens and fish. My mother is upset because I refuse to move, which I understand since she has to put up with D's whining, but I don't believe I should have to give up my room. B came over for a BBQ, and she and my mother chastised me on my selfishness, and allegedly while I was preventing D from burning herself on the grill while fetching food, they were moaning about me and my attitude. I realize that my mother would prefer that I agree to move rooms, but I don't believe that is the best answer. D has been complaining about a variety of issues recently, so I wouldn't be shocked if she's simply going through a phase or acting out. B has messaged me a few times to inform me that I'm making our mother's life easier and that it's just temporary. So, AITA? Update. Hey Reddit, I truly appreciate all of the comments and recommendations on my article here. We looked into it, and although many people mentioned it, D would not have been permitted to have a heater in her room at night, since it is a danger, and she normally doesn't have a problem in the room until well after she's gone to bed, so heating the room up in the day would be futile. As someone else said, my room had a door to the garden, and giving foster children unsupervised access out of the home is never a smart idea, and I doubt the social worker would have agreed. I did bring out my mother's hypocrisy in refusing to give up her own room, as many did, and she appeared to drop it after that. I attempted to check into all of the ideas that were made to me. One option was a weighted blanket, which was characterized as feeling like a hug, so we purchased one. It cost the equivalent of $27, so it wasn't a terrible find, but it didn't appear to help any more than the other blankets. We also gave her my old hot water bottle, which has one of those fluffy cases that resembles a penguin, but it didn't help either, and she still refused to sleep in her crib at night. However, someone recommended a blanket like a mermaid's tail, so we purchased one, and she adores it. She's had the blanket for 2 nights now with no complaints, so we're hoping that's resolved. Also, with respect to my connection with D, some individuals have expressed concern that I harbor animosity, which I emphatically deny. I understand it's not her fault that my mother makes strange choices on her behalf, and I don't blame her for being fostered. I followed a commenter's suggestion and constructed a pillow fort with her and put up fairy lights to try to make the room seem more like her own. Plus, I got her some stickers that she's currently adorning her headboard with, so she appears to be doing well. I'll confess that we're not as close as my biological sisters, and that I should make more of an effort. But I'm busy right now, and she doesn't seem to mind. Once again, thank you, Reddit.